We live in a world dominated by stuff. From the clothes we wear to the gadgets we use, material goods occupy a significant part of our lives. We are constantly bombarded with messages encouraging us to buy more, upgrade our possessions, and stay ahead of the latest trends. But have we ever stopped to consider the journey of these products, from their origins in the earth to their eventual fate as waste? Every day, vast quantities of natural resources are extracted from the earth to fuel this cycle of production and consumption. Forests are cleared, mountains are leveled, and rivers are diverted to access the raw materials needed to create the things we use. This relentless extraction has led to deforestation, habitat destruction, and the depletion of vital resources. The environmental consequences are undeniable and far-reaching. The documentary The Story of Stuff by Annie Leonard takes us on a thought-provoking journey through this system, exposing the hidden costs of our consumerist culture. It reveals the intricate connections between our shopping habits and the exploitation of natural resources, pollution of the environment, and social injustices embedded in the global production system. The Story of Stuff breaks down the life cycle of material goods into 5 key stages: extraction, production, distribution, consumption, and disposal. This linear model reveals the hidden costs and consequences at each stage. Extraction involves removing raw materials, often harming the environment. Production transforms these materials into products. Distribution relies on fossil fuels, contributing to pollution. Consumption is driven by advertising and marketing. Finally, disposal leads to growing waste. The Story of Stuff is not simply a film about the environmental and social problems associated with consumerism. It's a call to action. Leonard argues that we need to move away from our current linear system of extraction, production, consumption, and disposal towards a more circular economy that prioritizes sustainability and social justice. The film emphasizes the need for a paradigm shift in our relationship with material goods. We need to move away from the culture of consumerism that encourages us to find our identity and happiness in material possessions. Instead, we need to embrace a more mindful approach to consumption, buying less, choosing durable and sustainable products, and repairing and reusing items whenever possible. Beyond individual actions, the film advocates for systemic change. This includes holding corporations accountable for their environmental and social impacts, implementing policies that promote sustainable production and consumption, and investing in renewable energy and green technologies. The Story of Stuff is a powerful reminder that we are all connected to the environment and to each other through the products we consume. The journey of stuff begins long before it reaches our homes and shops. It starts with extraction, the often invisible process of wresting raw materials from the earth. This foundational stage of the materials economy sets off a chain reaction of environmental and social consequences that reverberate throughout the entire life cycle of a product. As demand for consumer goods continues to soar, so too does the pressure on our planet's finite resources. Every year, we extract and consume an estimated 100 billion tons of materials globally. This includes everything from fossil fuels and minerals to timber and agricultural products. The extraction of these resources comes at a steep environmental cost. Mining operations often involve clearing vast tracts of forests, disrupting ecosystems, and polluting waterways with toxic chemicals. The pursuit of oil and gas reserves leads to drilling in fragile ecosystems, risking spills and leaks that devastate marine life and coastal communities. The very act of removing raw materials from the earth leaves behind scarred landscapes, contaminated water sources, and a legacy of environmental degradation. Among the most alarming casualties of our insatiable appetite for stuff are the world's forests. These vital ecosystems, home to an estimated 80% of the planet's terrestrial biodiversity, are being cleared at an unprecedented rate to make way for agriculture, mining, and other resource-intensive industries. Deforestation not only destroys habitats and threatens countless species with extinction, But it also disrupts vital ecosystem services that sustain life on Earth. Forests act as massive carbon sinks, absorbing vast amounts of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and helping to regulate global climate. Their destruction releases this stored carbon back into the atmosphere, exacerbating climate change. The demand for timber, paper products, and agricultural land drives much of the deforestation occurring today. Vast swathes of tropical rainforest, particularly in the Amazon basin and Southeast Asia, are being cleared to make way for cattle ranching, soy production, and palm oil plantations. The consequences of deforestation are far-reaching and devastating. Our insatiable thirst for resources extends far beyond forests and fossil fuels. The production of electronics, for instance, requires a vast array of minerals, many of which are mined in countries with lax environmental regulations and poor labor standards. The extraction of these minerals often involves the use of toxic chemicals which contaminate water sources and pose serious health risks to local communities. Take, for example, the production of tantalum, a mineral used in capacitors found in cell phones, laptops, and other electronic devices. The Democratic Republic of Congo, one of the poorest countries in the world, possesses an estimated 80% of the world's known reserves of this valuable mineral. The mining of tantalum in the DRC has been linked to human rights abuses, environmental degradation, and the funding of armed groups in the region's ongoing conflict. Similarly, the extraction of cobalt, another essential mineral used in lithium-ion batteries, has raised significant ethical concerns. The hidden costs of our resource-intensive lifestyles are often borne by the most vulnerable communities and ecosystems. The environmental and social devastation wrought by extraction is not merely a byproduct of the process, it is often an inherent feature. Many extraction methods are inherently polluting, releasing toxic chemicals into the air, water, and soil. These toxins can persist in the environment for decades, accumulating in the food chain and posing long-term health risks to both humans and wildlife. Consider the legacy of gold mining, an industry notorious for its environmental destruction. The process of extracting gold often involves the use of cyanide, a highly toxic chemical that can leach into waterways, poisoning fish and other aquatic life. Mercury, another hazardous substance used in gold mining, can accumulate in the environment and pose serious health risks to humans, particularly pregnant women and children. The impacts of extraction are not always immediate or visible. The toxic legacy of extraction is a stark reminder that the environmental and social costs of our consumption patterns extend far beyond the point of purchase. Once raw materials have been extracted from the earth, they embark on the next leg of their journey, the production process. This stage, often hidden from the consumer's view behind factory walls and distant supply chains, is where raw materials undergo a profound transformation, molded and assembled into the countless products that fill our shelves and homes. While this transformation may seem like a marvel of modern engineering, it often comes at a steep price, one that is paid not only in monetary terms but also in the currency of human health and environmental degradation. The modern factory floor is a place of both innovation and exploitation. Advanced machinery and automated processes work tirelessly alongside human laborers, many of whom toil in precarious conditions for meager wages. The relentless drive for efficiency and cost-cutting often leads to shortcuts being taken, safety regulations being flouted, and workers being exposed to hazardous substances without adequate protection. The production of many everyday goods relies heavily on the use of toxic chemicals. From the solvents used to clean electronic components to the dyes used to color textiles, these substances can have serious health implications for workers who handle them on a daily basis. The production of electronics provides a stark example of the toxic burden associated with many manufacturing processes. The assembly of smartphones, laptops, and other devices requires the use of a cocktail of hazardous chemicals, including lead, mercury, cadmium, and brominated flame retardants. These substances can leach out of electronic waste in landfills, contaminating soil and groundwater and posing risks to human health. The manufacturing of textiles is another industry rife with environmental and health concerns. Textile factories are notorious for their use of toxic dyes, formaldehyde, and other chemicals that can irritate the skin, cause respiratory problems, and contaminate water sources. The fashion industry's insatiable demand for fast fashion, characterized by rapidly changing trends and low-cost garments, has only exacerbated these problems. The production of plastics, ubiquitous in modern society, also carries a heavy environmental burden. The toxic legacy of production is not confined to developing countries. Industrial accidents and spills can occur anywhere in the world, releasing hazardous substances into the environment and posing risks to human health. The hidden costs of our consumption habits are often borne by workers in factories and sweatshops around the world. Many corporations have shifted manufacturing to developing countries, where labor standards are lax and protections are few. Garment workers, often women and young girls, work long hours in poor conditions for poverty wages. They are often denied basic labor rights, such as forming unions or bargaining collectively. The electronics industry also faces labor abuses. Workers in electronics factories face health problems from hazardous chemicals. High demand for gadgets leads to excessive overtime and unsafe conditions. The human cost of cheap goods extends beyond the factory floor. Mining communities face displacement, environmental degradation, and health problems. The pursuit of cheap raw materials harms health, livelihoods, and cultural heritage. Globalization has created a complex supply chain, making accountability difficult. Consumers are often unaware of the human cost, highlighting the need for transparency. The relentless drive for lower costs and higher profits has created a race to the bottom in the global economy, with corporations seeking out the cheapest labor and the most lax environmental regulations. This race to the bottom has had devastating consequences for workers, communities, and the environment. Developing countries, eager to attract foreign investment and create jobs, often find themselves competing with each other to offer the lowest wages, the weakest environmental protections, and the most business-friendly regulations. This creates a downward spiral where workers are increasingly exploited, environmental standards are eroded, and corporations are able to externalize the true costs of their operations onto society and the environment. The race to the bottom undermines efforts to promote sustainable production and consumption. When corporations are able to externalize the environmental and social costs of their operations, there is little incentive for them to invest in cleaner technologies, improve working conditions, or reduce their environmental footprint. Breaking free from this race to the bottom requires a fundamental shift in our economic system. We need to move away from a model based on endless growth and consumption towards a more sustainable and equitable system that values the well-being of people and the planet over short-term profits. This requires holding corporations accountable for their social and environmental impacts, promoting fair trade practices, and investing in a more just and sustainable global economy. Once goods have been extracted and transformed into products, they embark on their journey of distribution. This phase is where products are packaged, shipped, and advertised. It is a complex system relying on marketing and global supply chains. The process starts in warehouses and distribution centers where products from around the world converge. Advertising bombards us from every direction, shaping our consumption habits and encouraging us to buy more. The distribution system masks a hidden cost. We are often oblivious to the labor practices and ethical considerations. The rise of e-commerce offers unparalleled convenience, but comes at a significant cost. Fast shipping demands put immense pressure on retailers and delivery companies. This demand impacts the environment and workers. The transportation sector is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. Delivery trucks and cargo planes burn fuel and spew emissions. Fast shipping often masks the true cost borne by workers. Workers face grueling schedules, low wages, and precarious conditions. Pressure to meet quotas can lead to unsafe practices and accidents. Online shopping convenience impacts local businesses and communities. Local shops struggle to compete, leading to job losses. The closure of stores affects social cohesion and community interaction. The global economy's interconnectedness is evident in our distribution system. Products traverse continents through a complex web of suppliers, manufacturers, and retailers. This system brings benefits but also challenges for workers and the environment. Exploitation and human rights abuses are significant concerns. Weak labor laws make fair treatment difficult to ensure. Transporting goods over vast distances has a significant environmental cost. Fossil fuel burning by ships, planes, and trucks contributes to climate change. The system challenges sustainable consumption efforts. Consumers often overlook the impacts of their purchases. Lack of transparency makes informed choices difficult. The challenges associated with the current distribution system are complex and multifaceted, requiring a systemic approach to address. Transitioning towards a more equitable and sustainable distribution system requires a fundamental shift in our consumption patterns, as well as changes in government policies, corporate practices, and consumer awareness. One crucial step is to promote greater transparency in global supply chains. Consumers have a right to know where the products they buy come from, how they are made, and under what conditions. This information can empower consumers to make more informed choices and to support companies that are committed to ethical and sustainable practices. Governments also have a role to play in promoting a more sustainable distribution system. This can include implementing stricter environmental regulations for the transportation sector, supporting the development of more sustainable transportation infrastructure, and enacting policies that encourage companies to reduce their reliance on long-distance shipping. Corporations, too, must take responsibility for the environmental and social impacts of their distribution practices. This includes reducing their reliance on fossil fuels, investing in more sustainable transportation options, improving working conditions for logistics workers, and supporting efforts to promote transparency and traceability in their supply chains. Consumption drives our modern economy, the lifeblood of countless industries, and a source of profound unease. Products reach our eager hands and homes. What drives this insatiable appetite for more? What compels us to acquire, accumulate, and discard goods? To understand consumption, we must delve into consumerism. This ideology shapes our aspirations and fuels the global economy. From a young age, we equate material possessions with happiness. Social media feeds present us with aspirational images. These messages shape our desires and behavior. Consumerism is linked to capitalism and economic growth. Increasing consumption is a necessity. We must be persuaded to buy more and upgrade our possessions. The allure of the new taps into our desire for novelty and social validation. In a consumerist society, new goods bring fleeting satisfaction and a sense of belonging. The fashion industry exemplifies this with its ever-changing trends. Each season brings must-have items marketed to evoke desire and urgency. The electronics industry thrives on our appetite for the new. Newer, faster models are released at a dizzying pace. The allure of the new permeates every aspect of our lives. Modern consumerism thrives on planned obsolescence. Products are designed to fail, ensuring repeat purchases. This strategy spans electronics, fashion, and software. The environmental and social costs are staggering. Breaking free from consumerism is no easy feat. It requires conscious effort to challenge beliefs and resist marketing, question the status quo, and redefine happiness. Begin by cultivating awareness of consumption habits. Keep a journal, reflect on motivations, and identify overconsumption. Challenge advertising messages and develop a critical eye. Embrace minimalism to reduce consumption and focus on what matters. Shift values from possessions to experiences and personal growth. Disposal, the final chapter in the life cycle of stuff, is often a somber affair, marked by a distinct lack of fanfare. Our consumption habits collide with the reality of our planet's finite capacity to absorb waste. Every discarded product enters a vast and complex waste management system. This waste stream flows through garbage trucks, recycling centers, incinerators, and landfills. The sheer scale of our waste generation is staggering. Globally, we produce over 2 billion tons of municipal solid waste annually. This relentless torrent of waste strains infrastructure and pollutes ecosystems. Waste disposal is also a social and ethical issue. Marginalized communities often bear the brunt of waste disposal impacts. They face foul odors, air pollution, contaminated water, and increased disease risk. Landfills, vast repositories of our discarded goods, stand as stark monuments to our throwaway culture. These sprawling tracts of land, often on city outskirts or rural areas, bury our waste beneath layers of soil and garbage. While landfills may seem convenient, they are far from benign. Decomposing organic waste releases methane, a potent greenhouse gas. Landfill leachate can contaminate groundwater and soil, posing health risks. Moreover, landfills are not infinite. Finding new landfill locations is increasingly challenging and costly. Existing landfills face mounting pressure and environmental concerns. The environmental impacts of landfills extend far beyond their boundaries. Transporting waste to landfills consumes fossil fuels and generates emissions. The extraction and processing of raw materials for products that end up in landfills carries significant environmental costs. Recycling, often touted as a panacea for our waste woes, has become a ubiquitous symbol of environmental responsibility. But is recycling truly the environmental savior it is often portrayed to be? While recycling diverts materials from landfills and conserves resources, it has limitations. Not all materials are equally recyclable, and recycling itself has environmental costs. Contamination and low participation rates further challenge recycling's effectiveness. The challenges associated with waste disposal highlight the urgent need to rethink our relationship with waste, moving away from a linear take-make-dispose model towards a more circular economy that prioritizes waste reduction, reuse, and responsible end-of-life management of products. Reducing our consumption of goods and materials is perhaps the most impactful step we can take to address the waste crisis. By buying less, choosing durable and repairable products, and embracing a more minimalist lifestyle, we can significantly reduce the volume of waste we generate. Reusing and repurposing items whenever possible is another effective way to extend the lifespan of products and reduce waste. This can involve finding creative uses for old items, donating unwanted goods to charities, or participating in local repair cafes or workshops. Supporting companies that prioritize sustainable packaging, offer take-back programs for their products, and design products for durability and recyclability can also contribute to a more circular economy. By voting with our wallets and supporting businesses that align with our values, we can encourage a shift towards more sustainable practices. Our current model of production, consumption, and disposal is unsustainable. The relentless pursuit of economic growth has created a world on the brink of ecological collapse. Evidence of this crisis is all around us. We are consuming resources faster than the Earth can replenish them. The consequences threaten our civilization. The social costs are equally alarming. Globalization's benefits are complex. Exploitation and inequality are widespread. The poor and marginalized bear the brunt. Climate change exacerbates inequalities. Confronting our current challenges requires a fundamental shift in values and behaviors. We must move away from consumerism and embrace a more mindful, sustainable approach. This transition demands a collective awakening and recognition of our global impact. Cultivating a deeper understanding of our interconnectedness is key. Recognizing our part in nature fosters responsibility for the planet. Addressing systemic issues requires collective action and challenging the status quo. Governments, corporations, and individuals must create a just and sustainable future. Governments must enact policies promoting sustainability and protecting workers' rights. This includes investing in renewable energy and sustainable agriculture. Enacting stricter regulations on pollution and waste is crucial. Corporations must be accountable for their social and environmental impacts. Consumers demand transparency and ethical sourcing practices. Embracing sustainable business models and fair labor practices, corporations can drive positive change. Ultimately, the power to create a just and sustainable world lies in our hands. By making conscious choices and supporting aligned businesses, we can send a powerful message that business as usual is no longer acceptable. The challenges are daunting but not insurmountable. By embracing interconnectedness and fostering a new consciousness, we can ensure a hopeful future for generations to come.